Welcome again to the Catalyst series. The Catalyst series is a series of webinars that Shoolini Online does every week. The objective is to invite senior leaders from the industry to give you perspective as to what your respective careers will look like in their domains. And we do this every week. You can check out our previous sessions on YouTube and on LinkedIn. And today's topic is it's a deep dive into problem solving. We are joined by Mr. Sumit Bhatia. Sumit is a seasoned professional in the ITES industry, currently holds the role of an HR leader at Marsh McLennan, providing strategic HR guidance for the Mercer Global Service Delivery team. With over 24 years of experience, Sumit has a background in software development and HR. Before joining Marsh McLennan, Sumit was at Accenture for over 14 years. He specializes in business setup and transformation, people strategy implementation, team leadership, and executive coaching and training. And joining Sumit is our very own Mr. Ashish Khosla, who's the co-founder and the president for innovation and marketing at Shoolini University. Prior to joining Shoolini, Ashish was a top-level banker in the Middle East for over 2 decades, having worked at leadership roles in big banks such as Citi and UNB. Ashish is an alumni of PEC Punjab and IIM Calcutta. Pleasure to have you both this evening. And with that, I pass it over to you both. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Dipit, and welcome to this chat, Sumit. Thank you very much for making time to speak to our set of students. Actually also for taking such an interesting topic, which is problem solving, which at the face of it sounds so obvious, but it's actually a very difficult one to actually, when one starts putting one's mind around it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, Sumit, I have a couple of questions before we really start,
Sure.
And actually they come from students, and, I had 8 or 9 questions, but one of them that struck me was that a student is saying that are great problem solvers, the really great ones, are they born or is it a learned skill? What's your thought on that, Sumit?
That's really interesting question around it. So problem solving overall, as I would cover in few of my slides as well, is a combination of multiple skills. It's not just one skill as a problem solving. It requires multiple aspects to be looked into. And as with any skill, there is some innate capability that all of us will be born with, but we all have to sharpen some of those skills further as we grow, as we get educated, as we get trained. So both ways, I would say, some part of some skills are innate qualities that we would have, but some of them we would need to sharpen. And even if we don't have some innate qualities, like for example, well, I will cover that one of the things we require is emotional intelligence. It is a skill that some of us are born to be slightly more emotionally intelligent. However, it is something that you can continue to sharpen, learn, train yourself on. So while some of us will be wired in certain way, but we can still overcome and get ourselves trained to be better in this skill, definitely.
Interesting, right? So another funny question. I mean, I'd call it funny because somebody's saying, I'm not good at math. Can I still be a good problem solver? So what's your thought on that? I mean, are there barriers like that? Being good at math, being good at quants, being good at people relationship. Are there barriers like that really, come in the way of people becoming very good problem solvers? What's your experience there? So what's your thought?
There are definitely some barriers in front of us, but there is not, math definitely is not a barrier. Right? Math will tell you how to solve things in a more structured way. But as we all know, all problems do not have a structured solution. Some of them need us to think differently, think in an unstructured way. And for those kind of things, you don't require math kind of a skill as well. So math is definitely not a barrier. If you're not good at maths, if you've not taken maths even in your growing up education, like in 10th, 11th, 12th, that's absolutely fine.
Hmm. And I think the basis of that, a lot of students do think it's linked somehow, is that a lot of engineers seem to be right at the helm of industry or IT, and somehow it's indirectly linked that maybe this person is good at quantitative analysis, and that's why problem solving falls in that domain. So I guess that's not true, right? That's what you seem to be telling our students in general.
Yeah, there are various ways to look at a problem and solve it.
Yeah,
There's never one solution to any problem. And
yeah,
quantitative, qualitative, those analysis could be one of the ways to do it, but there are definitely multiple ways you can solve every single problem. And for that, you don't need to have a certain uh, education, so to say, if I can call this, a certain set of education capabilities. You can look at what are your skills, what do you need, what are you good at, and how do you use that for solving a problem, rather than saying somebody else has got that particular capability and hence he or she is better.
yeah, yeah. Good point. So, Sumit, what's been your journey? And if you can specifically look at your journey as you've grown in your career, you've had a successful career with uh, banking and software, of course, in Accenture, where you were there for a very long time, and now as a leader, as a people leader in Mercer, Marsh and McLennan. What has been your journey of problem solving in general? How have you seen yourself evolving, or peers evolving, or thought around problem solving also evolving?
I will cover one aspect of it when I
Yeah.
talk a little bit more detail. But one of the
Yeah.
things that's really helped me is to break down any problem into different steps. So
Mm.
any big problem that you have in front of you, I think if you can break it down into smaller chunks and then try to look at how do you solve those small bits to be able to achieve something big. I think that's been one of the things that I have adopted in my career as well. So if just a quick recap of my journey. So I started as an engineering graduate. I did my first initial 8-10 years of my career in technology, software development,
Mhm.
various things around that, testing, business analysis, and everything related to software development. Then got an opportunity to get into leading a team of technical content developers. And that's my, I would say, inward road into HR field, where
Mhm.
through content development, learning development, leading HR shared services, managing performance, and that kind of journey led me to getting into HR, which then became a passion for me, and I've stayed on in that kind of career. But on each step, whether you're doing software development, whether you're doing people management, whether you're doing overall strategizing HR, there are problems that will occur at each stage. Right? What
Yeah.
two things that has helped? One is to look at each problem and break it down and see how can we solve for smaller bits to able to achieve the entire whole, and then also look at resilience in some of those aspects, because there will be failures. You will not find solution to every problem. There will definitely be failures, and how do you overcome those failures to either try out different methods to solve a problem, or hand over that problem to somebody who's more capable of solving it. I think those are things that I've always done to be able to come out of the problems that I've faced.
Mm. Interesting. Interesting. Also, one point around chunking, interesting that you mentioned it right up front, right? Because chunking is something we use in software. We
Mhm.
also, by the way, also use it in learning. We actually tell our students,
Absolutely.
if you want to learn 30 things, break them into smaller parts, learn, and obviously problem solving as well. So,
So what it
I
also helps, Ashish, is if you
yeah,
break down a larger problem into smaller chunks, you
yes,
may be able to think through that. Maybe you don't have to do every bit of it. You can work as a team. You can share smaller chunks with somebody else who's more capable in looking at that part of the problem and solve. So that also helps in looking at it. So you don't feel burdened to look at that entire problem, but somebody sharing your bit also. So that's how it helps as well.
Hmm. So, I mean, that's another question, by the way, which a student is asking is, has there been a problem solving moment in your life when you said, aha, I have really solved a very difficult problem? And, it kind of lit that into your mind that, here is the way to solve problems. Did that ever happen to you, Sumit? Or have you?
Multiple
Yeah,
multiple times.
yeah.
I think throughout every. career journey or life journey, you will see a lot of things that you say, okay, this is a problem that I will need to solve, and then you work through a solution and come out of it. And one of the uh, one of the examples I can give is there was a point in my career where I was looking for the next steps in the journey, and I was at a point where I was not feeling too excited or motivated on what I was doing, and I was thinking of what else can I do, or what direction should I take. And at that point in my career, and I was quite a bit involved and evolved, I would say, into the HR space. I had
Mhm.
left software technology and
Mm.
I had evolved into the HR space, and I wanted to continue in that journey.
Yeah.
But in that kind of journey, at sometimes you face challenges because you're not, I would say, ingrained from an education perspective in HR field. So I've not done my MBA. I've not done anything on HR.
Mm.
I had only got myself up to that level through experience, through leading teams, through managing
Mhm.
different aspects of thing. And at
Mm.
that point of journey, it's an important decision to make: is should I continue in this field? How will people look at me when I look at extending my career in HR, or should I look at going back to looking software development, leading projects that are more software related? And at that point, that problem came to me, and I was at a journey, and I took a risk in terms of saying, I think I should put myself 100% into a field which I feel passionate about. And
Mm.
then how do I solve this problem is to get deep, get my hands dirty, learn,
Mm.
fail and learn. And that's how I would be able to also have a self-satisfaction, but also able to show that something that I can still do and I'm capable of doing, right? So that point, I did take a step back in my career and also took a risk. When I
Mhm.
left Accenture, I had actually I was about what 18 years experience in my career.
Okay.
When I left Accenture and I permanent job, I left and joined as a contractor in one of the
Mm.
organization,
Mhm.
just because I wanted to pursue that, and I wanted to learn and fail and learn and fail, and
Mhm.
and honor my own passion in that area. And
Mhm.
I went deep into learning, got myself certifications and
Mhm.
credibility towards that field. So again, one of the biggest thing that I've learned is, if I face a problem, I how do I make myself go into that problem, get my hands dirty, step into that problem, and then try to solve it in that way, not
Mhm.
look at it from a 30,000 feet level.
Mhm. Very right. Very true. That's what our students are asking. A very linked question, and probably they're trying to problem solve. As this person is trying to problem solve, saying, "How is problem solving going to help me today? My number one objective is to get a job."
Hmm.
Which I think is true for many students. And how will being a better problem solver will actually help me get a job? So, is there something you would like to say to that student?
Uh, Absolutely. And if you look at the current changing economic situation, geopolitical situation that we are facing, and the whole influx of technology advancement and the speed at which technology is advancing, especially AI coming into picture in last 1.5 year, the speed at which it has come in. Every employer is looking for people who can solve problems on the face of it, whether it's a problem about working with AI, whether it's a problem about upskilling employees to do jobs which AI will take, and then what else we can do. I think a lot of that is happening. Economic situation has changed after pandemic. There's been a lot of ups and downs that we've seen. Hybrid working environment is another problem that we are grappling with. So there are multiple such things that organizations are facing, and hence, if anybody who's looking for a job wants to sharpen one skill, I think
Mm.
it's about how do you understand what problem is being faced by an organization and how do you solve it holistically.
True. And I would say that, an interview challenge itself is a problem solving skill. How do you kind of, weave your way around that problem? So, you have to have a
Absolutely.
strategy around that.
I mean, in
Great. So
today's
one last.
world,
Yeah.
we can create our resumes using ChatGPT. We
Oh,
can
yes. Oh,
we can ask ChatGPT to prepare 100 questions and answers for us for interview. It's a way of trying to see what we can solve. But at the end, ChatGPT or AI will not sit in front of the panel to interviews, right? We have to do it ourselves. And
as
that's
of now, maybe not. Yeah,
as
a
of
few
now,
years
no.
down the line.
Correct.
So yeah, that brings me to one last question before we can have your presentation and the thing that most of us are here for is that what do you think problem solving in the world of AI? How's that going to change? I mean, you have, like you mentioned, Chat GPT. There's a radical shift in terms of knowledge, in terms of things that can automatically be solved. Create a problem, ask Chat GPT, and comes out with 3 answers of how to solve it. So, how do you think that whole generative AI scenario is changing the requirement and approach towards problem solving?
I always look at ChatGPT and AI in the last 1.5 years that I've studied it is think of it as an intern, as a free intern that you have. Think of it as a support person that you have in the team. You will still need to train it. It can do research for you if you tell ChatGPT or AI what research you need. It can give you a structured answers. You need to still tell what kind of structure you need. But from there, from what you get, you will have to put your thoughts and brains how you want to use the data that it is preparing for you. If you tell ChatGPT to do something for you and you use it as it is, then you're not probably using it in the right way, because at the end you have to use your own sense. In if it gives you 5 different ways of solving a problem, you need to understand which will fit in what scenario. So that's where I will say I think it's a great help. It will give us a lot of insights, a lot of research, a lot of materials, a lot of structure. But how do we use it? I think it will still be up to us.
True. One thing I tell my own students is that if Chat GPT is giving you the answer, you're not solving the right problem.
Correct.
Go and find a tougher problem, right? And then you have to use it as a tool, as you say, as an intern, right? But there are tougher problems to be solved, and it's time we start addressing those problems, right?
Absolutely.
So, thanks for the quick chat, Sumit. Over to you. We're all looking forward to hearing from you.
Thanks, Ashish. I think you've helped in putting some structure to my discussions and my presentation. So thank you for that. I will share my screen and a short PPT that I'd created just to help manage this conversation. So my first question is to our attendees is define what is a problem. Can somebody do that for me? Is just look at telling me what a problem is. I hope chat is enabled for all attendees. They can use it.
And there's a separate chat channel also. So let's give them a minute.
Hi, everyone. Request you to all answer what is the problem. It's a very interesting question, and there are no wrong answers. So please have a go at it.
I got one, which is something I cannot solve.
Something you cannot solve. Okay,
Can I
fair
answer to that as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
One more coming in. Yeah, Ritu.
To me, problem is something that perplexes me, and to something that I can't pinpoint a linear particular course of action to kind of find a solution to.
That's great.
I have a version as well. I think a problem is a disruption to the plan I had.
Disruption to a plan you had, something that's that's occurring as a complex thing for us to look into, something that's disrupting some of the work that we want to do. So fair enough, right? That's
another point from in our chat is problem is roadblock during work on any project. So yeah, it's like a roadblock.
So anything that is a disruption, a difficult thing that requires a solution, something that is hard to understand or accomplish or deal with. And that's all problem we have, and it could be in personal or work, any scenario. And what we need is to look at how do we solve that as a next step, and going there, just transitioning into solving the problem. So like Ashish and I were chatting, in current scenarios, every employer is looking for somebody who can identify problems as well. It's not just problems will be handed over to everybody in an organization. that's an important skill as well, to identify a problem and then to be able to navigate through a solution for it. And navigating a solution could mean either resolving it yourself or through different channels that you're looking at. So analyzing the problem logically, formulating a solution, and effectively communicating about this is a great, great skill to have, which today's employers are looking for. I will share a video that talks about this a little bit differently. Just give me a minute to share this.
Yeah. At the Max Planck Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology in Leipzig, Germany, psychologist Joseph Cole places a peanut inside a clear tube. How can the chimpanzee get the snack? She's never seen this puzzle before.
For 10 minutes, there is no solution inside. And all of a sudden, boom, they solve it. They have to understand that they can use the water as a tool. This is interesting because the water itself, it doesn't have any shape.
Using water as a tool seems like something we would do on a good day.
Interesting, right? When you look
Yes,
at
yes, yeah.
problem,
Yeah.
you consider the problem that's there in front of the chimpanzee. He's hungry, looking for food. The food is now provided in a new setup, which it's confusion about, okay, the food is there, how do I have it? And then looking at possible solutions. Of course, multiple ways to solve it. Possibly could break that tube that was there in front of him, could have used any force around it. But the thought process around it is, what's the best way to solve it? And maybe thinking that this is a new way that I will get food every day. So if I break it, maybe I will not get it next day. And so again, that thought has come into picture. And then what are the available resources with me that I can use to solve this problem? It's a simple way to put that together. And that's where we need to look at each problem more logically to be able to solve for it. Other example, right? So if it's raining and you need to go outside, what do? Again, that's a problem that you have. You have to go outside. It's raining. Multiple solutions. You take an umbrella, you walk. You have a car, you get into it, drive. You take an umbrella to go to a bus to do that. You call a friend to drive you to that to wherever you want to go. So there's no right solution again to this problem. There are multiple different ways to solve it around it. You just have to think logically in terms of what works best to you during that time to be able to solve it in the right manner. So that's one other example that we have in front of us. Again, going back to the slide, sharing it again here. We were talking about a couple of barriers that are a couple of features that we have common in all kind of problems. One is goals, the other is barriers. When you look at goal, it is what you want to achieve as an outcome for the problem. What is the objective that you want to achieve? What is the desired state, the end state that you want? And it can include avoiding a situation as well. It can include avoiding an event. It may not be overcoming something. It could be avoidance as well. Right? So it's the objective that you want to achieve when you have a problem in front of you. If, let's say, if you're hungry, then your goal is to probably eat something, right? It's an easy answer to that. If you're head of an organization, you are a CEO, then your main goal will be to maximize profits. The main goal would be to achieve certain targets that you have from a monetary perspective or a revenue perspective or sales perspective. It could be multiple of that. For each goal, you would have one or multiple barriers as well. So when you set yourself to achieve a goal, there will be barriers in front of you. Again, this example about you feeling hungry and your goal is to eat. The barrier that you have in front of you could be you don't have any food. You have food but no gas available. You don't know how to cook. You don't know how to cook if you have everything available. So it could be multiple such barriers. You would want to go out to the supermarket and buy food. You could go out to restaurant to eat, but there could be barriers like rain again that would stop in front of you. So again, multiple of those. Similarly, if I'm talking about a CEO who wants to increase profits, multiple barriers at each step. People, skills of people in front of attrition could be a barrier. A lot of turnaround that's happening. Training could be a barrier for those for that. Availability of right kind of materials, resources, machinery could be a problem. Again, multiple barriers could occur in front of any kind of CEO that we have. When you look at stages of solving a problem, that's where we have uh, these 6 different stages in front of us. Sorry, I think my screen is paused. Let me reshare.
Yeah, it's there a minute back, so it just went off.
Yeah, so again, 6 stages that we have in front of us to solve any kind of problem. The first stage is identifying what is the problem, or we call it in a very simple term, what is the root cause. Detecting and recognizing, first of all, that there is a problem. Identifying what is the nature of that problem, and then defining the problem itself holistically. Typically, this would involve asking a lot of questions, gathering a lot of information, and so on and so forth. Once you've understood the problem or identified the problem, the next stage would be to structure your problem, which would involve root cause analysis kind of methodology. So period of observation, why the problem is occurring, inspecting, going into details of that problem, uh, finding out some facts about the problem, developing a clear picture of what do you understand about the problem, right? What is the detail of understanding you have. When you have the structure of the problem or the root cause analysis done, then the third stage would be to look at possible solutions, which could mean gathering a range of possible actions. You don't have to evaluate or solve anything right now. You are just looking at possible courses of action. What could be 10 different ways you could solve this problem? Once you've identified that, then the next stage is to make a decision.
So,
After you
sorry, I thought it was only me, but looks like your screen is not visible. That's what Mano Bendra Burman is also telling us. So probably it's true for everyone. Samish, yeah, now it's there. Yeah, thank you. Thanks.
Was it blacking out or how was it?
It's blacking out, yes.
Okay, sorry for that. Let me know if it's
cool. It's okay now. Yeah, it's good now.
It's good now?
Yeah.
Okay. So again, once you've identified the range of solutions, then it's a decision that you need to make, which is carefully analyzing possible courses of action for each of those possible solutions, and then selecting what's the best solution for implementation. So, like I mentioned, if it's raining, you have 10 different options in front of you. You analyze what's the best solution that you want to look at, what's the pros and cons for each solution, what do you want to do during that time, and then making a decision and choosing what out of those 10 options you have that you want to do. The next stage, once you've done that, is accepting and carrying out the course of action, which is implementing your solution. Once you've implemented the solution, the next stage is to look at monitoring and seeking feedback. So when you're reviewing the outcomes of what solution you have implemented, and if that's a solution that's implemented over a period of time, then you would seek feedback around the success of the outcome. Did the solution work? Did it not work? What is the efficacy of the solution? What could have been done better? If it was good, can it be sustained for a long term? Various things to look at. Let me give you two real life examples around it.
Okay.
Everybody probably has heard of Airbnb. That's a online platform for you to choose a home that you want to stay for a short time. People rent out their homes for you to stay in, an alternative to hotels. When Airbnb was expanding into cities around the world, it faced a regulatory barrier. The regulatory barrier was threatening its growth because there were challenges from each city, each country, different regulatory challenges. Let's take New York City for an example, where they were required to register with the city and rent their apartments for minimum 30 days at a time, which means you can't rent any apartment in Airbnb for a day, for a 2-day period. It has to be 30 days at a time. Now, to overcome these as barriers, Airbnb worked with city officials. They developed possible solutions, including new regulatory framework that could allow hosts to rent their homes for shorter period of time. The company also implemented a host education program to ensure compliance with local laws. So regulatory officials had challenges why they did not want a shorter period because of certain compliance issues. So they helped hosts get training education through that to ensure compliance. Now, through this staged problem solving approach, Airbnb was able to break through, and they were able to apply similar learnings to other countries and cities that they wanted to expand to new markets. Another example, Microsoft. In the early 2010s, as the market was shifting towards mobile devices away from personal computers, they faced a challenge of how people will continue to use Microsoft available software in their handheld devices. So the company responded by shifting its focus to cloud-based services and mobile-based services. If you remember earlier, when we used to install Microsoft Office in our laptops, we would either get a CD or a downloadable full version of Microsoft Office as a one-time solution. So you buy it, you get it, you install it, that version is with you forever. If you go now to Microsoft site, the only option that you can easily find is Microsoft 365, which is a cloud-based, subscription-based service that they have. You can still buy one-time solution, but you will find difficult to search into their site. So they've completely strategically moved away from that as a market solution that they want to. And today, because how quickly they were able to adapt to the solution, they are again market leaders in the office, in the software space, in what Word or Excel, whatever we use.
Interesting. Yeah.
Okay, again, I think, sorry, my throwing some challenges. Before I go into other skills required for effective problem solving, I'll pause here again for a bit and say, if you look at challenges, and we talked a little bit about this when we were speaking, Ashish, is for every problem, every stage, there will be multiple challenges that will occur in front of us.
Yeah.
Three that I can call out is there will be a lot of ambiguity. So when you look at a problem in the holistic sense, you will always face ambiguity in terms of it is too big a problem. Will I be able to achieve it? When I look at the end, I don't understand how will we solve it. Will that be a right solution or not? And so on and so forth. So what I was mentioning in our chat is it's best to break down a problem into smaller, manageable pieces.
Yeah.
Because then you will be able to achieve smaller pieces as a milestone and progressively able to identify and achieve the entire problem. So break it down, smaller, manageable pieces, identify root cause of each such piece, make objectives clear, link it to the next piece, and then put together a plan accordingly. If you look at the project management principles as well, they also want us to break down each project into a project plan with milestones, risks, dependencies, everything. Similar principles we should apply looking at every problem.
Yeah.
The second challenge that we will face is dealing with complexity. Every solution will not be a simple, every problem will not have a simple solution. There will be a lot of complexity around each solution. What we should look at is take a step back and take a broader view of the situation. I also mentioned that at times you may not want to find a solution, but want to find a way to avoid the problem or to walk around the problem, right? No, many problems will not have a direct solution. So look at it from a broader perspective. Look at relevant factors that are involving that problem. Consider different perspectives around it. Maybe you need to ignore the problem. Maybe you need to avoid the problem, and not every problem will need a solution. So that's the second piece that we will have as a challenge. The third piece that we will face is resilience around it. There will be a lot of barriers, there will be a lot of obstacles, there will be a lot of failures around it. We need to have a positive attitude and mindset around solving a problem. The agile methodology that we have heard about, the Scrum kind of methodology where you fail fast, fail frequently, test often, go to finding smaller solutions, faster solutions is always a good way to look at it, because you don't have to again look at waiting for the entire problem that you want to solve, and at the end you face the risk of a failure. Look at it in testing, failing, testing, and then working through that as a problem. So those are three challenges that I would say we all will face, and we could look at multiple things to solve that.
Okay, thanks. Very interesting.
And the next thing that I want to talk about is what are the other skills that are important in effective problem solving. 6 that I will talk about. There could be many more around it. Creativity. Problems are usually either solved intuitively or systematically. And I think we touched this upon as well slightly. Ashish is looking at either a structured way or an unstructured way of solving a problem, mathematical, quantitative, qualitative, or different ways. Right? So intuition is used typically when no new knowledge is needed. So you know enough to be able to make a quick decision and solve the problem. Rain, going out, feeling hungry, need to eat. Again, quick things. You need intuition, no new knowledge to solve some of those problems. If you've been brought up in some way that you can intuitively solve such issues. Common sense, all that is pretty there. More complex problems, you will have that you've not experienced before, will require a more systematic and logical approach to solve those problems. And for that, you will need to use creative thinking. That's where your creative skill will come into picture. The second is your researching skill. Defining, identifying, and then solving problem requires you to do some research. Again, good example, good discussion, Ashish, that you mentioned. We have AI that can help some part of it. It can help us do research for it, right?
Yeah.
Google has been there for us for a very long time, but now we have a much more deeper tool available to help us with that. But researching as a skill, what you want to research, how you want to use those outputs of the research. There could be various outputs that you would get, which you want to pick from that is again a skill that will be important to understand. The third is team working. Again, you don't need to solve the entire problem yourself. You will need inputs of other people when you look at it holistically or you break down into different chunks. Team working may sound like a work thing, business related, but it is as important as it is in home or in our college environment as well. Teamwork is the great skill to have when you're looking at solving any kind of problem you face in any kind of situation. Understanding and accepting that you will alone not be able to solve is a big revelation that any of us can have.
Yeah.
Fourth is emotional intelligence. So again, it is worth considering how you will be able to see what emotional skills you have. How do you survive in terms of adversity, fear, anger, all happiness? What is your reaction in those kind of situations? How do you react around it? And how do you react when other people show those emotions is also going to be important to be able to guide you towards an appropriate solution. Example, if you're looking at a problem, somebody else could come up with a better solution than you would be able to. Are you able to accept that somebody else is better in solving that problem for you? It's an emotional intelligence that would be required at that point. Risk management is the next one. Again, solving problems requires certain amount of risk. Now, the risk need to be weighed up against, is it enough risk that I should take to solve the problem? Is it worth solving the problem, the risk that I'm taking? But risk management as a skill will help you understand criticality of the risk, timing of that risk. What should I do? What should not do? Weighing pros and cons around it. Which path should I take? Again, those are kind of things as a risk management skill will be important to come up with the final solution around it.
Yeah.
And the last bit is making a decision. Problem solving and decision making are very closely related because a decision is an important part of the problem, that when you're choosing what solution you need to make, you have various alternatives that you have in front of you. What's the right solution that you want is a decision that you need to take. And sometimes it's important as you grow in the organization as a leader as well, where people look up to you to lead and tell that yes, this is the right decision. At times when we are also working in a team, sometimes it's not easy for in that environment for somebody to step up and take a decision. And that's the difference also we see as leaders, is when we are looking at a decision, are we leading in the right way to say yes, this is the right decision? So that's the crux of what I wanted to cover. I'll open it up for questions around it. I think quick sharing of what I thought as a structure around few things, few tips and tricks around this. So opening up next 10-15 minutes for question, anything else that Ashish we have.
Yeah, lovely, Sumit. Firstly, thank you. That was very comprehensive, and these 6 skills, if you can even master 3 or 4 of them, I think you've started on you're on the right track. Creativity is a big one. We're getting to see more and more of it with time. Team building is something that, a lot of kids do play sports, but team building is so important, and that is something you learn as you grow up the leadership ladder as well, is that you have to trust your team, you have to work with teams and make it possible. And you've touched on the fact on coming out with multiple options and researching multiple options. But finally, one has to take a decision around that. And, that is a different skill. And that is something that also needs to be, developed after your 5th point, which is assessing the risks. But there are some problem solvers who are extremely good. I've seen those. I worked in banks most of my life, Sumit. I have seen people who are extremely good at picking up the right solution from 8 or 9 alternatives. So that's a very different scale. Some people develop it with, over time with experience. And the other skill some people have is coming out with the 8, 9 options for somebody to pick from. And that also is at times a, divergent thinking, different skill. So thanks for that, Sumit. If you don't mind, I'm sure somebody's made notes, and we will also be teaching this in class. So I hope you don't mind.
Absolutely. Happy with that.
Great. So I'll open it up for the audience to ask a question on the chat. And we have anonymous attendee. Sorry, we don't have your name, attendee. What are the skills we understand now that will be more relevant in the future, given that technology is changing every day going forward?
I think it's a good question because
Yeah.
when we look at technology advancement, and I was talking about the speed at which AI is coming up to us, uh, I don't think I should say never ever. You never know how things change, but I don't see, at least in the near future, AI being able to have emotional aspects of things. It will probably have more rational aspects. It will probably could be much better than many of the humans, if not all, in terms of doing what it is doing in a much better way. But to be able to select the best option, to be able to rationalize it, to be able to see how it will impact in different ways, uh, that skill will never be able to immediately look at AI coming up with an emotional aspect of it, is what at least I don't see it in the near future. It will probably sharpen. So if there is one skill that I have to call out, I think it is emotional intelligence. If all of us can build being more emotionally intelligent to be able to sustain, we can manage AI also much better.
Very true. Very true, Sumit. The next question seems to be a follow-up on this, which is when do I know when to do things myself and when to call out for help?
Interesting one. Definitely an interesting one.
Yeah.
Uh, Experience, I would say, and knowledge is two aspects that are there in front of us. If you feel that you have the right knowledge and experience in front of you, then definitely I would say it's good enough indication that you should try yourself. And if not, then I would say bring in others to help. One example that I always give is I always take up assignments of coaching or mentoring somebody. As a coach, I don't need to know everything.
Mm.
My main responsibility as a coach is to understand what the coachee needs and to be able to find the right solution for that person, or to be able to guide in the right direction. I could be coaching somebody that is from a manufacturing industry which I have no knowledge on. I could be coaching somebody from a healthcare hospitality industry which I have no knowledge on. But if I'm able to understand what they need and direct them in the right direction, or to connect with the right people, then that's again something that I can do. So again, that's one thing that I feel we should be able to understand what we know, what experience we have, what knowledge we have, and
Mm.
then use it ourselves, or then be able to take others' help to do it. As a leader, as a project manager, as any in all of those scenarios, I always look at, if I have a team, I always look at hiring somebody who is better than me in certain areas, because I don't need to know everything. Then I can use their skills and capabilities in that way.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So, do you have can you suggest a blueprint? That's another question for students to follow, and maybe, over a period of time, say 1 year or 2 years, effectively and drastically improve their problem solving skills. Some of our students are in their final year, some of them in us pre-final year. So, it'll be interesting. Should they make a plan, a long-term plan, and gradually build on it? What's your advice and feedback there, Sumit?
Uh, I think the first thing that I would say is to become more aware, because if you look at your everyday situation, I mean, we could be uh, uh, in our classroom studying, or at home studying. That's a basic thing for all of us as students. We could be at home with our parents or staying with our friends. Just be aware of the scenarios around you and just identify problem. I think that probably would be my biggest takeaway is, are
Mhm.
you able to identify problems around us? If you look at some of the great innovations that have happened over last many years, and they continue to happen,
Mm.
there is somebody who's been able to identify that there is a problem that needs a solution.
Yeah.
Then comes finding a solution. So if there is one takeaway that anybody wants to have, is be aware of things around you. There is a lot of things that needs identification, first of all. What is the problem? And then being able to work around solutioning around it. And some of these stages that we've talked about, if you identify it correctly, then you structure it, break it down, think of finding 10 different solutions, talking to others who may be better in that, and then working through multiple solutions, testing, failing, and all that. But first step, if you're not able to identify a problem, then it's a bigger issue.
Very true, Sumit. In fact, finding the problem, need analysis, gap. I mean, I can see that across multiple streams, in finance, in marketing, in audit.
Absolutely.
A key challenge is always to find the right problem, right?
Yeah.
One can put process behind solving it.
Absolutely. And in examples, I was talking to one of the leaders in an organization last week, and the leader was giving an example that there was a team that was, and it's from a banking industry, the team was there for 14, 15 years. He joined as a new leader in that team from outside, right? He's not part of that organization. In 1 week, he was able to identify a problem which saved the organization millions of dollars. And because the team was so ingrained into what they were doing, they couldn't take a step back and look at it from an outside perspective. That there was one small problem that was continuing to have, and they couldn't see it. So sometimes we just have to take a step back, think from an outside perspective, look at it from a different lens to be able to solve it.
Oh, very true, very true. I mean, there are quite a few business stories around how the right problem was solved, which gave the business and the business leader a huge leg up in their compared to their competition. Here's another question. I mean, that's quite again relevant, maybe. Sir, how does a company such as yours support and encourage the development of problem-solving skills amongst its employees?
Lot of different ways. One is we do a lot of training and development. So we provide the right skills that are needed for people to be able to, like I said, knowledge sharpening. So knowledge sharpening is one area. We also have a lot of scenarios where we create environments for people to test in certain areas. So again, an example that I can give is today, in last 4, 5, 6 months, the organization has taken a very strong stance on AI implementation in some of our processes, and we're working very actively in seeing where we can implement AI, looking at whatever processes we have, business processes.
Okay.
What we've done is we've said, no matter how big or small you can find a use case first. So that's an encouragement that we're saying, okay, find a use case, even if it's like, I'm sending an email, can AI do it for me? Right? So it's a simple thing. We're asking people to find use cases, list them down. What we're then doing is consolidating some similar ones and forming a team and saying, what can you do to solution it? So we're giving those environments as well. And I'm sure a lot of other organizations are doing something similar.
Yes.
If you have an agile methodology, agile methodology teams have that as an innate capability, that they give failure opportunities to test and fail again and again. So that's one example that I have is what we are doing.
Very good, Sumit. In fact, as university, we are dealing with quite a few SMEs, and we have around 20 PhDs in AI. So we do work and consult with a few of these SMEs and actually assist them in working on the cases that they could probably take forward and build models around AI. So, yeah. In fact, we have a question around that by Muhammad Samim, who's saying, sir, in terms of changes, we always fear for it, but for growth, change is important. So how do we handle it mentally?
Again, there's probably nobody who can run away from change. And the thing is, right now, the speed at which change is happening is enormous. Especially last 3, 4 years, I've seen since pandemic, I think the speed of change has increased tremendously. The advancement who would have imagined 3-4 years ago that we would not be using or using physical cash minimally?
Yeah.
Who would have imagined, right? The amount, the speed at which digital economy is progressing. The AI again is another example that it's coming out. ChatGPT is, nobody can imagine ChatGPT is just 12 to 18 months old. Just
Exactly.
12 to 18 months old, right? So fear of change is always there. It's about building your skills around, again, emotional intelligence, resilience, and being able to fail and stand up again. But other thing that's very important is at times this is an interesting thing, and I you may not like me for saying it, but when
Mm-hmm.
throughout our growing up years, we've been told fail, try and try and try till you succeed.
Mm.
I would say not true anymore. Try and try. If you continue to fail, stop it. Do something else. That's an important skill to build. You don't need to try till you succeed. If you try till you succeed, it will be too long a period that multiple changes would have happened and you would probably be left behind. So try and try, find another solution, find another problem to solve is another
Very
thing to
true.
look at. So fear is always there. I think
Mm.
build resilience, build emotional intelligence, and come up with that solution.
True. So what are you saying is fail fast, right? I mean,
Fail fast,
move on.
fail
Yeah.
often, fail
Yeah.
often, fail fast.
Yeah. Yeah, I think great. We've had a great chat. Thank you very much. But I'll take one more question before I formally thank you, and that's from Rohit. And he says, the whole world is changing, and with AI and technology, how do you think the world of HR will change? Will there be some drastic changes needed in this sphere itself?
Definitely there will be. And HR will also go through a lot of change, especially the uh, aspects on HR services, the HR, the HR support aspects of it, some part of recruitment aspects, some part of learning and development. Those
Mm,
aspects will change,
mm,
where you don't need human interface, where things can be solved by a robo or a AI. And there has been a lot of advancement in that field already in last 4 or 5 years. But again, it's changing drastically at the speed of it. So where HR will become or need to become better is more strategic, more human part of human resources, right? So human resources may, whatever human is there, that's the area where we all will need to sharpen ourselves to be able to get that more connection with people, to be able to understand what they want. If there are things like, okay, where is the policy, what, when my salary is coming, that anyway will, we don't need people for it. So that's the shift that we are seeing in HR happening. Sourcing,
mm.
screening of profiles, that all robot can do. Training, we're now seeing a new software that's coming up where if you implement an online training, the software can convert it into multiple languages automatically. So you
Yeah,
don't need multilingual trainers.
that's true.
Everywhere that doesn't need a human touch will go through some change.
Mm. Very true. I mean, the world is certainly going to be changing around us, and I think HR will actually lead the change rather
Absolutely.
than be a victim of it. I mean, that's the way
Absolutely.
I would see that, Sumit. So,
Absolutely.
Sumit,
At
it's been,
least
yeah.
we are seeing, sorry, at least we are seeing that over the last few years, HR is now having a seat at the table because of the importance of people management around it and the effect of technology that is having on people. So you're absolutely right.
So, one question I have to ask: do you see this change happening, and do you think the whole outsourcing industry in India, how do you think will it go into a different direction because of this AI, new technology coming in? What's your personal thought there, Sumit?
I think it's still young in that scenario. Everybody is still trying to understand what impact of AI will happen in what areas and how will we overcome some of that. It will probably take 3 to 5 years, I would say, to see an industry shift in this area. But
Mhm.
I may be wrong. It could be faster the way we have seen ChatGPT come up and OpenAI coming up with so many different areas. But I think every industry is now grappling with trying to understand the impact and what they need to do around it. Last 1-2 years, we've seen a slowdown in tech industry, and because I think everybody is reevaluating the impact of AI within tech as well. So it's still in that stage of identification of the problem.
Great, Sumit. I mean, it's been over an hour and looks like a few minutes only. So that was a very, very interesting session. Thank you very much. Some of what you told, I think we will be putting in our notes formally. And I also look forward to inviting you over to our campus sometime.
Sure.
Having you over and meet our students face to face.
Sure.
So thanks once again, Deepik, for your formal word of thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Great.
Ashish. And of course, thank you, Sumit, for taking the time to speak with us today. And one thing that I particularly, took to was when you mentioned that, you made that switch after 18 years in a role. And I think that is something that our students, our learners should really take note of, because, when they are starting their journey, they're very hell-bent. What if we take the wrong major? It's going to dictate the rest of my life. And and you're a living example that these choices can happen at any point and it's all going to work out. So thank you so much for that. And of course, thank you, Ashish, as well, for taking the time. And thank you, everyone who joined us this evening. And before we go, I just want to give a special shout out to Ritu. So Ritu is the brain behind this series, and she's responsible for getting these incredible speakers to speak with you all. So thank you, Ritu, for all that you do for us. And with that, I wish you all a great weekend, and we'll be back very, very soon. Please watch out our socials for the next one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.